minutes. Chair recognizes Ms. Demings from Florida for 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and Secretary Mayorkas. Thank you so much for being with us. It's great to see you and to have you in your position. I am very pleased to see the administration's announcement of the national strategy for countering domestic terrorism this week. As you know, we all must, especially on this committee, be truthful about the threats we face. And it is clear that domestic terrorism is an urgent threat the United States faces today. While we in Congress survived the attack on our Capitol, everyone, as you know, Mr. Secretary, did not. And we should do everything in our power to thoroughly investigate it and ensure that while we are here doing the people's business, that we, our staff members, and the people who work in this building are safe. And how can we forget the law enforcement officers who were beaten down that day and gave all they had to, as they say, hold the line? I appreciate the work the administration is doing to have FEMA assist state and local governments combat domestic terrorist threats in their communities. This year, the notice of funding opportunity for fiscal year 2021 for FEMA State Homeland Security Grant Program and Urban Security Grant Initiative included domestic terrorism as a new national priority. Secretary Mayorkas, can you explain the significance of this change in the Homeland Security Grant programs and how you think its impact will be?
Congresswoman, thank you so much for your focus on this a critical area. As I've mentioned, it's the greatest terrorism-related threat that we face on the homeland. We require grant recipients under the program that you identified to dedicate at least $77 million to this effort. And we believe that the greatest utility, the most effective measure, is to build partnerships to equip local, state, local, tribal, territorial law enforcement agencies to understand, to receive, to understand, and actionalize the information they receive with respect to threat streams, and to build programs of partnership in the communities in which they reside to protect us, to be able to identify individuals who are exhibiting signs of radicalization and intention to commit violence, and to prevent it before it occurs.
Mr. Secretary, thank you so much for that. But by the same token, as the chair of the Subcommittee on Emergency Preparedness, Response, and Recovery, I am greatly disappointed to see that the department proposed a decrease of $15.3 million to the Urban Area Security Initiative Grant Program, one that I, as a local official, local police chief, certainly depended upon. The department's budget justification states that the proposed reduction will have a minimal impact on accomplishing the goals of URASI. Mr. Secretary, how did the department engage jurisdictions, local law enforcement organizations, and emergency managers to determine that a $15.3 million cut would have a, quote, minimal impact on accomplishing the goals of URASI?
A three-part answer, if I may,
Yes.
Congresswoman, and certainly I recognize your distinguished service as a chief of police before becoming a member of Congress. Number one, I immediately halted, when I came to office, a significant diversion of UASI funds that was planned by the prior administration. Number two, we have shifted a focus from developing capacity to sustainment to now being able to address emergent threats for precisely the reason that your first question underscores. And third, we are working very closely with state and local law enforcement to analyze the grant formula that underlies the UASI program and make sure that it addresses the needs most effectively of the entire first responder community.
Mr. Secretary, I am out of time. Thank you so much. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.